Everybody, last time we were in art class, we learned about value. We learned about mixing up different colors to create lights and darks. So we talked about making our hue, which is just our plain color. We talked about making tints, which is our lighter color. That's when you add white to the color and it makes it lighter. And we talked about making shades, and shades is when it gets darker because you add black to it. So we are going to be putting all of this together today. We're going to make a little winter landscape. What I need you to do first is I need you to paint a sheet of paper with a tint, your hue, and your shade. Since I'm going to be doing a winter landscape and I'm going to be using this paper for trees, I suggest you use some green paint. If you do not have any green paint, maybe you want to do whatever color you do have, like red or green, and that's okay. You could just have a colorful forest. So what I'm going to do is have you guys work on this first. Once it dries, you want to come back and watch the rest of this video. So again, you just have to paint 3 spots. Your hue, which is just your plain color, the tint, where you mix white to make it lighter, and your shade, which is where you mix black to make it darker. And it's okay if you have a really dark and a really light. I just want to see that you have a hue, a tint, and a shade. And we are going to be cutting out on this paper once it is dry. So go ahead, paint in your 3 spots on your page, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Alrighty guys, so we are going to take these sheets of paper and we are going to cut out 3 trees, 3 big trees. And the size of the tree is going to be important because we're going to add some details onto it. And the tree needs to be a triangle shape and not just a fat little triangle. We're going to make a long, tall triangle. I'm going to draw on top of my 3 different spots with a white crayon so you can easily see it. Start at the bottom and make a straight horizontal line across. Then a tall line coming up and a tall line coming down. All right, once you have your 3 triangles, we are going to use our scissors to cut them out, and we're going to keep them off to the side for later. Alrighty, so check it out. I have my 3 triangle trees, and these are going to be used in just a little bit. So for right now, we're going to keep that off to the side. Any little scrap pieces of paper you have from when you were cutting out your trees, you can throw them out, or you might want to save them because you could always go back and do something else with these extra scrap pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on the background of my paper. You want to have a sheet of white paper and you want it to be facing what I call tall like a portrait. This is short like a landscape, and we want to do it the other way. We want it to be tall like a portrait. This is called portrait mode. So turn your paper tall. Okay, I'm going to start off using some crayons on my page. I need to find the blue crayon and the brown crayon. And I'm also going to pull out the white crayon for later too. All right, so we want to go ahead and use our blue crayon first, and we're going to draw the line that's going to separate out the bottom part, which is our snow, and the top part, which is our sky. So I'm going to draw myself a snowy line across the page. I'm going to draw it about at the middle of the page. So I'm going to find the middle of my page, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in my wavy snowy line. This is going to be my snow bottoms that are going to be where the trees grow out of. Then the top part is the sky. So I'm going to color in the sky blue, but I also want it to look like it's snowing. I'm going to use my blue crayon to draw in some circles of snow that is falling in the background. This is our snow all over the place, nice and blizzard-like. Have some small circles and some big circles. And when I color in my blue background, I want to make sure I leave these spaces white. Now this might take a little bit of time, and that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and color in our entire background blue, leaving our little snowballs white. Man, that was an arm workout, wasn't it? I also went back with my blue once I finished, and I traced around all of my snowballs to make sure I still could see my snowballs. So I just used my blue like you see I'm doing here to trace around my snowballs so you can still see them really well. Another fun thing that you might want to do is if you have 2 different shades of blue in your bag or in your box, you might want to go ahead and do some different blues on there too. I have 2 different blues here. I have a dark blue and I have a light blue. So I'm going to use my darker blue to also add in just a little bit of some dark blue into my background as well. So I'm going to add in some dark blue, just randomly, just in the background. And one thing that's really great about coloring with crayons, guys, is that you don't have to push down really hard to make the color come off the page. You can, or come off your crayon and onto your page. You can see that my color is actually done pretty lightly. If you are pushing down really, really hard on your crayon, you're gonna get these really dark spots, and it's gonna take you a long time to do that. So you can just kind of lightly color with your crayon. It's easy, it fills the space, and it keeps you from breaking your crayons. All right, once I have my blue background done with my snowballs, I'm gonna put my crayons away, my 2 blue crayons, back into the box. And then I'm going to use my brown crayon next. I'm gonna be drawing the stumps that my trees are going to be connected to. So I'm going to decide, where do I want my trees to go? Do I want them to be side by side? But what's happening? If they're side by side here, my trees are running off the page. We can do something that's called overlapping. Overlapping is when you put one thing in front of another. So something is in the front and something is in the back. So I'm going to overlap my trees. Let me see, do I like it like this? Maybe I want my darkest one to be in the back. Oh, maybe you want to spread them out just a little bit more. That is up to you to decide. You just want to make sure you have space for your trunks to go in the snow. So I think I'm liking my trees right about here. So I'm going to use my brown to draw in a rectangle underneath the tree to know that's where I want the stump. So there's going to be 1 stump, 2 stumps, and 3 stumps. So I'm going to go ahead and color in my 3 stumps brown. Beautiful. So I have 3 brown stumps, so I am done with my brown. I'm going to go ahead and put it back into my box. And then before I attach and glue my trees onto my page, I want to think about adding in some fun decorations onto my trees. I like to just use a white crayon for this, and I'm going to do different patterns. If you have different colors you would like to use, you definitely can. And another thing that shows up really well is, instead of using a white crayon, you can also use a white oil pastel. This is a white oil pastel. It's kind of like a creamier version of a crayon. If you don't have any of these, stick to the crayons. If you don't have crayons, you could always use colored pencils. So I'll show you the difference here. So if I did a line or stripe with my oil pastel, do you see how nice and bright and white that is? And here's my crayon line. A little bit lighter, but I can definitely still see it. Maybe I want to use both of them. I'm going to do some stripes on this tree, all the way up to the tip top. And now I have a tree with some really cool stripes. Maybe for this tree over here, so I'll leave him here for now. Maybe for my darker tree, I might want to do some, what do you think? Some zigzags? Whoa, look at that. That's pretty cool. And then for my last one, what should we do on this one? What do you think? Maybe we'll do, ooh, how about we do some, ready? I'm gonna do some polka dots. Some big and some small polka dots. Kind of like my snowballs in the background. Awesome. Now that we have our 3 trees done, I'm going to use my liquid glue to glue down my trees. I'm going to start with my tree that's going to be in the back, because remember, these are going to overlap on top of that tree. So I got to start with this one in the back first. I'm going to use a few drops of glue. So remember, our glue rule is dot, dot, not a lot. Made sure my lid was open. Made sure I gave it a good tip and a squeeze. And I'll put a couple of dots on the back. And I'll stick it on. Then I'll move on to my next one. Couple of dots. And I'll stick it on. Overlapping in front of the other one. And then the last one. Dot, 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 dot. And I will glue it down to my last stump. Ooh, that looks so cool, like a nice little winter forest happening here. If you want to use your extra pieces of your paper that you had from when you made your values, your tints and your shades, you could always cut out some more triangles and you could add in more trees if you want. The final thing I like to do before I call it done is I do like to use my blue just one one more time for a little detail on the snow at the bottom. Underneath my trees, I like to add a little bit of blue like it has some shadows. So underneath my stump, I'm just going to do a little light wiggly line of blue. And check it out. All done. So you guys will go ahead and create your own winter landscape just like this with your value trees. I can't wait to see them. I know they're going to look awesome. And remember, if this part is taking you a long time, don't forget to take some breaks. If your hand starts hurting, take a break, stretch out your hand. You got the whole class period, and I will see these when you guys are done with them. Make sure you take a picture, shoot them over to me, and I am looking forward to seeing your beautiful masterpieces. Bye, guys.